life really lost momentum this year. It's a really horrible feeling. That feeling like you're not getting anywhere and that life is moving on around you. I think stagnation is something that a lot of us can relate to this year. This whole pandemic thing has just made it so difficult to make any meaningful progress, because it's just, it feels like you're constantly like one step forward and two steps back with everything constantly changing. It's very difficult to know whether you're coming and going. This feeling of stagnation for me probably started long before the pandemic. It started probably back in 2019. I'd just given up my full-time job to become a full-time photographer, and my expectation was that with all the free time, it was really just going to snowball into the career that I dreamed of, shooting all the time, going on adventures, traveling, working with other creatives. And that just didn't happen. My life just sort of ran out of steam. Maybe it was the lack of routine. There's a lot to unpack with the mistakes I made in that first year, but I think the biggest one was just letting my life run out of momentum. I think stagnation comes about when you're living a dead lifestyle. Your habits and your mindsets are just, they're holding you back. They're not pushing you forward in any meaningful way. And when that happens, it's time to take a step back, reevaluate, and think about what you can change about the structure of your life to remedy that. Now, usually with habits, there will be something that you can call a keystone habit. It's like the central habit that a lot of other habits sort of lean against. And if you take that habit out, it sort of cascades down and solves a lot of the other habits just for you. So if you can pinpoint what that keystone habit is, you can save yourself a lot of time and hassle. You don't have to undo dozens of habits. You can just solve one, and that will immediately just sort of remedy a huge chunk of your life. And for me, I think a lot of my bad habits can be traced back to social media. Now, obviously social media is a bit of a double-edged sword. There are some positives to it, but I think there's also that negative side of it, is that ultimately social media is programmed to manipulate you to spend as much time on it engaging with content as possible. So it's designed to suck you into its void. The eternal scroll, like the amount of hours I have wasted just getting sucked into the eternal scroll. Like I might go on just to post a photo or something, and then
5 hours later,
I'm just there and I've stopped finding it a positive experience at this point. Like the negatives are certainly outweighing the positives. There's a lot of, you're constantly bombarded with bad news, and I don't know if anyone else finds this, but I find just the process of being on social media just exhausting. Maybe it's because your brain is constantly firing out chemicals every time you see a new notification. It's novelty, and it's like you just, by the time you're done, you feel like you've run a marathon, but you've not really run a marathon. You've not really done anything intellectual, but you feel like your brain's tired, you're lethargic. It's just not good. It's an awful distraction. I think that's played into a lot of my stagnation. Is I've started using social media just as that way of distracting myself from the other things that I should be focusing on in my life. It's almost become sort of like a surrogate social life, particularly in 2020 when you can't go out and see your friends. It's become a virtual way of interacting with people, but it will never replace actually going out and spending time with friends. And obviously we couldn't do that this year with it being the whole pandemic thing, but this is something that I've been doing for years, long before the pandemic. If anything, the pandemic's just sort of highlighted how this has been a problem for quite a while. But the amount of times that I'd spend more time just socialising on social media than actually making the effort to go out. And I think a lot of my lack of productivity, my lack of motivation, my tiredness and stuff just stems back to social media. So that's going to be the thing that I'm going to address first to see if I can get out of this stagnant rut. So what I've done is I've installed some newsfeed eradicators onto my browser so that I no longer get sucked into the eternal scroll of doom. what it does is it removes the newsfeed, so I can scroll forever and ever and ever, and nothing's going to pop up. And also gets rid of the sort of the hashtag trending thing, so I'm no longer going to get force-fed news that I don't want to be seeing, which is good, because the amount of times that I get triggered by a news article I just don't want to see happens all the time, so I'm not going to miss that. The good thing is that I still have access to my messages if I want to keep in touch with friends, and when it comes to the content that I actually want to be seeing, I've created some lists so that I can work with a bit more intentionality. I have one for my friends, I have one for art and photography kind of things. So if I want to be checking out some inspirational visuals, I'm going to be able to scroll through that without having to go through all of the dramas, all the other random miscellaneous thoughts. I can just scroll through and enjoy some art. And that also means that I can support all my other creative friends, because their art can be in this. I can appreciate their work and share their work and keep supporting them the way that I would, but without getting dragged into all the other stuff that just sort of exists on social media. And that really enables me to just sort of take back control over how I use social media. No more am I just going to keep getting sucked into things that I don't want to be getting involved in. I can just focus in on the things that I enjoy and get out of social media. So I uninstalled the social media apps off my phone as well, and the first thing I noticed was just the space and the silence that comes with getting rid of social media. Suddenly, all that noise and that pressure is just gone, and you are left with so much space to just be you and to process all of the noise that has been bouncing around your head all this time. Pretty quickly I found myself feeling motivated to do, just little things, just little odd jobs around the house, or spending time with the family, or journaling, or even just being content to just sit and be. I thought that was what would scare me the most, that I would get bored or stuck in my head and end up feeling just worse, just feeling more stagnant. But I've realised that sometimes just sitting with your thoughts can be more powerful than you realise. 2020 has really highlighted a lot of the problems that have developed in my life. I've developed a sort of a habit of escapism and generally just avoiding my problems, and anything that makes me uncomfortable, I would just avoid like the plague. Bad choice of words considering the time we're in. Anyway, the sort of the result is that I've ended up stuck in my comfort zone for way too long, and it's not that comfortable. And yet I've found that in just a few days of shaking up my routine and just getting rid of social media and freeing up my headspace and changing the way that I go about my day has done so much just for my productivity and just getting stuff done. And ultimately, that's how you get out of a stagnant rut. You stop making excuses, you stop distracting yourself, you stop putting off those difficult life decisions that you've been putting off for so long. You get up and you start moving. Well, thank you for checking out this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up. I'm a little bit rusty with vlogs, I will admit. It's been a while. I mean, let's face it, there's not really been anything interesting to do this year with everything being locked down. It's been difficult to do anything content-wise. But hopefully 2021 is going to bring some more interesting and exciting opportunities for all of us. So be sure to subscribe and hopefully see more of that. And just let me know in the comments if you've had a similar kind of year. If you felt stagnant, if you felt stuck this year, just let me know. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Let me know what you've been doing to keep yourself sane this year. And I'll catch you in the next one.